everyone. I'm Athena Ali, the Get Noticed coach and government job application specialist. Welcome to my live broadcast today on how to transition from EL roles, so executive level roles, to SES roles, so senior executive services roles, through the merit pool in the Australian Public Service. Now, before I start today, I'd like to do an acknowledgement to country. In the spirit of reconciliation, I acknowledge the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community, and I pay respect to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today. Thank you for being here. Now, this weekly live was inspired by somebody in one of my Facebook groups, somebody who actually asked the question on, how, she can transition from EL executive level roles to SES roles in the Australian Public Service and always being put in the merit pool. So I thought I'd make that the subject of my live today. So what we're going to do is we're going to find out the biggest problems you could be having and why you can't convert that job application or interview into a job offer. Okay. Now, if you're here live, say hi in the comments below. Hopefully I can see them. And if you're watching the replay, add hashtag replay to the comments below. So that way I know that you have been able to view this live. You can also view my YouTube channel if for any reason you lose connection via LinkedIn or my Facebook group, which is where I'm streaming to today. So first I will start off with some acronym definitions, so you know what I'm talking about. Some people will understand what I'm talking about and others might be the first time they're hearing this. So EL, so an EL role is an executive level role. They're usually around the assistant director type roles. And SES is senior executive services roles, and it's defined on the APS, the Australian Public Service website, to provide apps or APS-wide strategic leadership of the highest quality that contributes to an effective and cohesive Australian public service. So they're usually around your CEO level type roles. They're really strategic leadership roles, okay? Now, these roles are far more big picture, strategic focused roles, and they're not really doer roles, okay? They're overarching roles that oversee people and projects. So in order to land a role like this, your whole application from your CV right through to your interview needs to display demonstrated abilities in this big picture thinking. Okay. Now, you can't have done this just once or twice in your career. They're functions that you're doing over and over and over, and they're actually over and above your executive level, your EL level role. Because your current role is an EL role. So if all you're doing is an executive level role, you need to find ways to display SES level attributes. So in order to do that, you must somehow perform those functions before you can actually really apply for those roles. Okay, so even more so at this level, okay, you also need to be seen to have a very striking personal brand. You need to have a reputation and a really laser-focused niche or expertise in the area that you're seeking to get into. Or you need to be very much somebody who's done some sort of company director type course. So you really need to be at that top level, and people need to know about your reputation and your expertise. Okay. Now, in terms of the merit pool, let's talk about that merit pool. What is it? What is a merit pool? Okay. So on the APS, Australian Public Service website, it says that after the recruitment process, successful applicants are placed in a merit pool with no relative ranking. So you're basically thrown in the bottom drawer, okay, with everybody else who hasn't gotten a role. Now, if you're placed in the merit pool, you could be offered the vacancy you applied for or similar vacancy in a similar position if one becomes available. Now, What is the problem that I have with being placed in a merit pool? Well, as I said, it's like being put in the bottom drawer of a desk. Unless something drastic happens, and I'll be honest, the chances of you getting out of that drawer and getting their attention out of all those other people who've been stuck in that drawer, okay, and getting their attention is quite slim. Okay. Now, and I've kind of always wondered in the back of my head why employers hang on to your applications for other roles when 9 times out of 10, they never really ever go through them. Or if they do, your chances are quite slim because there are other people in that drawer too. You are again competing with a whole stack of other candidates and you are still not standing out or have even less of an ability to stand out when you've been placed in a drawer as opposed to you've applied for a specific position. Okay. Now, why will you have slim chances? Well, because your application, for starters, won't be tailored to the role that might come up. If you didn't get the original role in the first place, you obviously didn't impress them enough to get over the line. Okay. Now, if they do choose you for that role at some point, you will likely be offered a contract. And it's happened to some of my clients before where they're offered a contract, but it's a much shorter term contract at this level. So instead of being offered the 3 or 4 year contract, they're only offered a 1 year contract or 12 months. And you know why? It's because they're not certain that you can do the role. Otherwise, they would have chosen you in the first place and they would have given you a longer term. Okay. Now, unless they tell you they loved you and you knocked their socks off at the interview and they have another job for you in mind down the track at the interview itself, because you, as I said, you did really knock their socks off and they don't want to lose you and they really believe that you can provide something to them at some point in another role, getting in that merit pool is not worth waiting for, in my opinion. And the worst thing you can actually do is wait to be called up from that merit pool. Okay, you're better off to continue to apply for roles directly and tailoring them to the specific position that you're actually looking for. Okay. Now, I can understand why external recruiters might do this, might keep candidate information with them because they've engaged to spend that time to find people, and they will make the time to dig through those applications and find the right people. But internal recruiters tend not to. They will more likely go through the current advertised position and go through the more recent applications than they will going through old ones. Okay. Unless they have a really hard time finding someone in a specific niche that they really need someone specific for a role. Okay. Because really they'll start to receive these applications for specific roles and they'll re-interview for these roles. So my advice is don't wait for the merit pool. It's like waiting for a phone call from a bad blind date that you had and you weren't the right fit for each other then. What are the chances of you being the right fit for each other now? Okay, especially with the old application or with the old, you walking in the door. Okay, you need to apply for each role, I believe, and tailor it to every role you want to go for so that you can put your case again. Because if your application or your interview didn't entice them the first time, you need to make improvements to that the second or third or the fourth time. Okay. And I think that's the biggest mistake I see most candidates make in the job search process is that you're waiting to be handed a job on a platter. Okay. Don't wait for the job. Okay. Either you make your personal brand so attractive that they come to you, or you need to make a really great impression in that job application process and in that interview. Okay. And at this level, okay, we're not talking about doer level roles, where there are millions, or hundreds of thousands of roles at the doer level. As you get up that pyramid to the higher level roles, there are fewer and fewer roles. So it's harder and harder to stand out. Okay. So that's why it's super important to have a more expertise or a niche or a personal brand or reputation that follows you, because people will start to know you. Okay. And it's hard to be noticed when you are not visible to be chosen. Okay. So getting in a merit pool should not be your aim, and it should not be what you're waiting for, particularly at a high level role like that. Okay. So that's the end of the live, in my opinion, and what I think you should be doing instead of sitting around waiting for a job to be handed to you from a merit pool. Okay. If you would like to chat to me more about how you can actually grab their attention and get noticed before you get into that bottom drawer of their desk, okay, and you're determined and ready now to do something about that and finally stop being passed over by others with less experience than you or those who are more visible and connected, then get in touch with me so we can chat about how my Get Noticed, Get Promoted program will skyrocket your career in 90 days. And we can look at your documents, we can look at your job application, we can look at your interview process, we can look at all of that and see where your specific issues lie. And let's get you through the program and get you where you need to be in 2022. So I will pop a link down below for you to book that chat with me, and let's get you into my program and get you on your way. Don't sit in that merit pool. Don't be the person on the bottom of the pile or being second best at an interview. If you really want that role and you really want to progress, you need to do something about that now. Okay. Have a fabulous day. And I hope you've enjoyed this live and that it's been helpful. And I hope to chat to you all sometime soon. Have a great day. Bye.